There are market and industry where you don't lose. There are some market and industry where you don't lose because of unqualified product. You don't lose because you are late to the game, but you lose because you are late without knowing what kind of game you are entering, and without knowing what to do next. In order to understand this issue and know what to do to successfully export, let's explore the follower strategy in the video on the TTM Vietnam's channel. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Thank you very much for continuing to follow the TTM Vietnam's channel. There's a question I will very often asked by Vietnamese enterprises. That is, who have stable position in domestic market and are starting to look for international business. That is, does my business have an opportunity to sell goods to the international market? To sell goods to the international market, especially the opportunity to enter demanding but extremely large and attractive market. In this market, the standards are not low, and one mistake means you don't have a chance to correct it. In this market, many enterprises have arrived earlier, even a long time ago. In fact, many enterprises, both domestic and international, are asking the same question as you. And my answer is possible if you follow the follower strategy in the right way. The follower strategy in the right way. The follower strategy is a strategy of following to win. In this strategy, the pioneer teach the market how to consume. Teach the market how to consume and benefit from their early needs. But they may pay a price for pioneering by burning money in the market and encountering legal problem if they try wrongly. The follower enters when the market has already taken shape, when consumer behavior has emerged and the rule of the game has been clearer. In this strategy, the followers are not slow or weak party, and they are certainly not the people who blindly imitate. They come later, but they have all of the information and data of those who comes who came before, successful people, story of failure, and a clear understanding of the reason for success and failure. They have certain potential and competitive advantage to enter the market, but they will only achieve success. But they will only achieve success if they do the two important things. The second important thing is the second one is they know how to avoid repeating the mistake made by those who came before, to implement their work more rationally, creatively, and achieve their goal with higher efficiency. So, what is the most important things? That is, the market allows the follower to come in. The market allows the follower to come in. So, which market will accept the follower? Will accept the follower? The follower will accept the follower. Not every market in the world is open to the follower. Personally, I think that international market can be divided into three types. The first one are the market that are very easy. Market that are very easy. Easy is here. Easy here doesn't mean they are friendly, but because they lack clear standard, almost no technical barrier. Those who come first can sell well, and those who come later can also sell well. What sells today may disappear tomorrow. In this market, people don't ask how well you do it, but only how much cheaper you can pay. But only how much cheaper you are. How much cheaper you are. And this market is not suitable for a follower strategy. And this market is not suitable for a follower strategy because it has no true leader to learn from, has no standard to imitate or improve upon, had insufficient in-depth consumer behavior data. Here, the followers are not following anyone. Everyone is just rushing into a race with no finish line. The second type of the market is one that lives on memory and habit. In this market, consumer buys because of familiarity, because of long-standing brands, because of emotion, because of theory, of history, because it's always been this way. These markets are very difficult to access, not because they are poor, but because their mindset is unwilling to change. If you arrive first, you will have a place. If you arrive later, even with a good commodity, even with competitive pricing, even with competitive price, it's very difficult to enter. It's very difficult to enter. It's very difficult to enter. The biggest barrier in this market is not technical standard, but the closed consumer mindset. Such markets are also not for latecomers, are also not for the follower, are also not for the follower. The third type of the market is logical, fair, and conditionally open. These are markets that are not easy, are not emotional, and do not welcome you with flowery words, but they have clear law, high standard, transparent evaluation method. Here, people don't ask where you are from. They will ask if you do it right. If you do well, you stay. If you do poorly, you are eliminated. You don't need to be the first one. You just need to be the right way. You just need to be in the right way. These are markets where latecomer not only survives, but can go very far. And if you look at the world map, among the third type of the market, there's a very special name. A market that is not easy to satisfy, not noisy, not rush, but one you have entered, you can stay for a very long time, and that is Germany. I didn't stay in Germany for a very long time, but long enough for me but long enough to feel the soul, to understand the soul of this market. During Christmas season, I often take the high-speed train from Paris to Strasbourg, to Strasbourg. Then I walk across the border. Then I pass the border and step into Germany very gently. Even though it's only a barrier, a very small transition of space, I start to feel a rather clear difference in the pace of life. Ông ơi, xuống dưới để bố đã quay. In the pace of life, in the way people live, especially in their consumption habit. Besides traveling, I often spend a lot of time for observing. Watch how Germany person shop in their supermarket. Watching how Germans shop in the supermarket. They don't shop like they are strolling around. They walk very quickly. They rarely pick the things up. They rarely pick things up. They rarely pick things up. They rarely pick things up and put them down. But each time they pick something. But each time they pick something up, it's with a purpose. They carefully read the label. Look at the ingredient. Compare price. They are less influenced by flashy advertisement. And I realize something's very interesting. The German market is very huge, but not noisy. They don't greet you with flowery word. They don't greet you with flowery word. They don't applaud when you arrive. The shelves in Germany are not a testing ground for emotion. They are a testing ground for effectiveness. Therefore, Germany is an extremely harsh market if business don't understand German consumer behavior, especially the follower. But because of this, Germany is one of the rare markets that has chance for the follower. If they do things right from the start. Once you are the right fit, they are willing to give you a chance. They are willing to give you a chance to join their system. While shopping at supermarket in Germany, I often focus on the Asian food section. I noticed a very special group of product. The product that are not in the specialty section. No accompanying story. No national flag. No national flag. No explanation. But it appears regularly in the shopping cart of many families. It is dry rice noodle, vermicelli, and pho, or what we commonly call dry noodle product, or what we commonly call dry rice product, dry rice noodle. These products are very Asian, very Vietnamese. Germans don't buy them out of curiosity. Germans don't buy them because of curiosity. They buy them because they buy them because they are used to them. They are familiar with them. They are not loyal to any particular branch. They are loyal to stability. They only care about whether. They only care whether it will work today, about whether it will work today, whether it will be the same next week, whether it is easy to cook, and it suits their fast-paced and simple lifestyle. They don't need to know who brought it over first. They only care whether the product performs the function they need. And from here, I realized another very important thing for the follower strategy. Even though a product has become part of a habit, there's still a chance for those who come later. The question is whether you understand and brave enough to step into a place where habits have already been formed, and whether you can demonstrate the superior value of the follower. So, what is the market for dry rice noodle in German's life? So, what is the market for dry rice noodle in Germany life? 1 phút, 1 giây. Looking deeper into the German market, I see 3 different customer groups standing in front of a shelf of dry rice noodle. Firstly, the group consists of Vietnamese people living in Germany. This group is not very large, but they were the first to introduce this dry rice noodle into German life. According to the latest figure, there are approximately 215,000 Vietnamese people living in Germany, concentrated in major cities such as Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, Frankfurt, and the former East Germany, region. The Vietnamese group knows how to eat, knows the name of the product, and know how to cook them. They buy not only to eat, but also to preserve a part of their memory of homes. But because they are so familiar with Vietnamese food, their demands for product flavor are often higher than those of other groups. Secondly, the group consists of people of Asian country, of Asian origin. Many people of Asian country, such as Chinese, Thailand, Korean, and Japanese have married and settled permanently in Germany. According to statistic data, there are approximately 1.9 million people of Asian origin living in Germany. They create an ASEAN Consumer Culture Corridor. Where dishes like rice noodle, instant noodle, and pho are no longer unfamiliar, are very familiar. They are often the first to try new product, even before native Germans. Thirdly, the group consists of native Germans. Any product that want to truly succeed must conquer the native Germans, who make up the majority of consumer sales in this market. German don't consume rice noodle, instant noodle offer as a romantic afternoon tea dishes. They consume it as a part of their daily diet for convenience. Their daily diet for convenience. Because they are used to it, they are familiar with it, or because they've learned how to consume it properly. They don't buy it just once out of curiosity. They make repeat purchase if the product is easy to cook, has consistent quality, suits their taste and daily habit. As a way these three groups of people are presented before the dry rice noodle create a very distinctive consumption style in Germany. Distinctive consumption style in Germany. This is a point that the follower strategy must pay attention to when thinking about penetrating the German dry rice noodle market. The German dry rice noodle market. And when these three consumer groups are presented together on the official shelf of Asian supermarket, and in Germany's widespread distribution system, the story of dry rice noodle will no longer be limited to domestic consumption, because for Germany, consumption and business have never been two separate stories. Many products that Germans buy today are not only for use in Germany, but will also go to other markets in the European Union. Because Germany is not just a consumer market, but also a hub for distribution throughout Europe. If dry rice noodle can establish themselves firmly within the German system, the door to other European markets will open very naturally. And that is why, when talking about follower strategy, I always consider Germany not just as a destination, but also as a launching pad. Launching pad. Opportunity, big or small, are just only a half of the story. We need to look back at the Vietnamese market to see what Vietnamese enterprise truly have in their hands, and how will they apply the follower strategy to seize the opportunity. For more details on this issue, please follow TTM Vietnam in part 2 of this video. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. Thank you very much for continuing to watch the TTM Vietnam's channel. In the previous video, I talked quite a bit about strategy and the market. Today, I would like to start a little slower. Would you mind starting this video with the songs? Our village right has a river zero, a King Tays river with lotus sand in the full lake, with mother voice so sweet today. It's not just a song that most Vietnamese children know by heart. It's also the most accurate description of rice, the fundamental ingredient of Vietnamese dry rice noodle. Of the Vietnamese dry noodle industry. And when the rice with Vietnamese flavor combined with the craftsmanship of family, of a family with generation of experience, it creates the greatest strength of Vietnamese dry rice noodle product. That is flavor. But beyond flavor and beyond the fairly straightforward and honest business culture of the Vietnamese people, many Vietnamese people can't see any other advantage that our enterprise have. Our enterprise that are superior to their counterpart around the world. When they look at the overall picture of the Vietnamese dry rice noodle industry, they see a structure where the majority of enterprise in the industry are. They see a structure where the majority of enterprise in the industry are family enterprise with generation of production experience, enterprise from Vietnamese craft village, mostly small and medium-sized enterprise, alongside with a few large enterprise, a few large company. This business have many limitations when entering the global market. Low capital, low technology, incomplete management system, and especially the ability to withstand risks when entering the international market is very weak. So, what about our competitor? Talking about the dry rice noodle market in Germany. Besides Vietnam, notable Asian countries include Japan, South Korea, China, and Thailand. However, if we consider the similarity in raw material and market segment, only China and Thailand are our direct competitor. And if we put these three countries on the same scale, most people will see one reality. Vietnam is a follower, not just a little behind, but a long way behind. But behind for a long way. Vietnam is a follower in four major aspects. Firstly, following in terms of time. Thailand and China commercialized the dry rice noodle industry very early. Thailand began boosting export. Thailand began boosting export of rice noodle and vermicelli from the 1990. From the year 1990, closely linked to its national strategy of kitchen of the world, called Kitchen of the World. Thailand enterprise didn't sell individual product, but rather an image of national cuisine. China even started earlier. From the year 1980 to 1990, the export rice noodle and vermicelli on large scale. In parallel with the wave of globalized production. In the meanwhile, Vietnam only start Vietnam only start exporting dry rice noodle after 2005. After 2005. And only accelerated significantly after agreement, after some free trade agreement, after some FTA, such as EVFTA and CPTPP. CPTPP. In other words, when Vietnam started running, people had already come a long way. Secondly, following in strategy, Thailand's enterprise are not alone. They are guided and directed very clearly by the state. They standardize product formula, factory, packaging, labor, and pursue a consistent positioning that is extremely easy to understand globally. Rice noodle, Asian cuisine, easy to cook. China, on the other hand, choose a different path, but equally consistent to low price, large production volume, channel coverage, OEM manufacturing, OEM for European and American supermarket, and very strong control very strong over the raw material and logistic chain. In the meanwhile, the majority of Vietnamese enterprise are still exporting in small and individual order. In small and individual orders, relying on small and individual relationship, and lacking a clear national positioning for the dry rice noodle, vermicelli, for the dry rice noodle industry. For the dry rice noodle industry, we sell product, but we haven't shown a sad story. Thirdly, following in production and following in manufacturing and product, China and Thailand both possess large-scale factory, stable production system, and proven output over many years. This helps them maintain consistent quality, fulfill large order, and build trust with international distribution system. In the meanwhile, as we have mentioned above, Vietnamese enterprises are very strongly in craftsmanship and flavor, but we are weak in scale and long-term stability. The fourth, following in branding and marketing. If you walk into a European supermarket, you will see Thailand's rice noodle and Chinese vermicelli as familiar names, familiar price, familiar position on the shelf. How about Vietnamese product? Many small brands, few leading brands, packaging changes constantly, and a lack of a consistent message and story. China is linked to the story of traditional Asian noodle. Thailand remains in the mind of buyer as authentic Thai food. Vietnam also has many stories about its country, history, and traditional craft, but Vietnamese enterprise haven't been able to tell those stories, to tell those stories in the language of international sales. All of these factors combine, it makes Vietnam not only the follower in the market. All of these factors combine make Vietnam not only the follower, make Vietnam not only the follower in the market, but also the follower in the mind of the consumer. And that is the starting point, that the follower strategy of, and that is the starting point of the follower strategy. Vietnamese company need to understand truly before thinking about breaking ahead. However, everything has two sides, my friend. Let's turn the picture around, and you will see the opportunity and strength of Vietnam rice noodle in the following four main points. Firstly, Vietnam has the original flavor that the market is returning to. For many years, the world market chased after standardization, large-scale production, and low price. But in recent years, global consumer behavior has clearly shifted. Buyer wants more authentic product, less industrialization, and a story, and they need a story of origin. And Vietnam's rice vermicelli, noodle, and pho are the answer. Vietnamese people in Germany are looking for such product, and it could be Asian living in Germany or even native Germans. Secondly, Vietnam has a rare and flexible business ecosystem. The majority of Vietnamese drives food business. The majority of Vietnamese drives food. The majority of Vietnamese drives rice noodle enterprise are small and medium size. On the surface, this is a weakness. But in the eyes of smart investor, it's an extremely flexible ecosystem. Easy to improve formula, easy to adjust size and packaging, easy to test the market segment by segment in Europe. Easy to test the market segment by segment. The market segment by segment. In Europe, many distributors don't need a huge factory. They need a partner who understands the product, quick response, and a willingness to co-create according to the market. Vietnam enterprise can do that much better than many industrialized countries. Thirdly, Vietnam is at a pivotal point in the market. Vietnam is well positioned in the global value chains, close to the rice raw material, with increasingly better processing capability, with increasingly better processing capability and competitive labor, as well as operating costs. Importantly, Vietnam has a network of new generation FTA such as ABFTA and CPTPP. And Vietnam is also not yet confined and stuck to a singular image or rigidly associated with any one specific positioning, with any specific positioning. This makes Vietnam both a risk, an opportunity, and an opportunity for new shaping. Investor and importer cooperating with Vietnam now are not just buying commodity, but participating in the process of shaping the industry brand. And that is where long-term profit emerge. The fourth, Vietnamese enterprise are starved for eating the market, are hungry for eating the market. Many Vietnamese enterprises produce very good commodity, but lack market, lack guidance, and lack capital to bear the risk. For foreign investor, this is not a weakness. This is an extremely clear opportunity for cooperation. Investment, not only in money. Investment is not only in money, but also in standard, system, and market thinking. A timely combination can transform a Vietnamese enterprise into a vital link in the European supply chain. Vietnam is a follower, but Vietnam is also attractive because we are at the right time for transformation. So, what should Vietnamese enterprise do? What should Vietnamese enterprise do to survive and thrive in the German market with the follower-centric, with the follower strategy? With the follower strategy, there are 5 solutions, my friend. There are 5 solutions. Solution 1. Build a strategy of survival followed by growth. Many Vietnamese companies enter the German market with a dangerous mindset. Go fast, sell widely, target the local market directly. However, in reality, No demanding market welcome no demanding market welcome a complete newcomer with a shortcut. Vietnamese enterprise wanting to go far must follow a 3-step roadmap. Step 1. Survive in the Vietnamese market in Germany. Survive by the Vietnamese market in Germany. Survive by the Vietnamese group in Germany. The Vietnamese community in Germany is the first foundation for survivor. They understanding the product, accept small error, and generate initial cash flow. This is not a small market, but a buffer zone to learn how to do things internationally, especially in Germany. Step 2. Expand into the Asian community in Germany. The Chinese, Korean, Thailand, Japanese don't need much explanation about dry rice noodle product, about dry rice noodle. They just care about quality, stability, and convenience. This is the stage where Vietnamese company learn to standardize their quality and service. Step 3. When strong enough, approach native Germans. At this point, Vietnamese company will no longer sell based on emotion, but based on consumer, but based on consumer logic in Germany. Which is clear, stable, and reliable. Survival first, then think about development. This is the inevitable rule for Vietnamese company. Second solution, standardize before telling the story. A very common mistake of Vietnam business is that it's telling a great story, talking a lot about country, but our product is not stable. The German don't object to the story, but they won't buy the story if the product is inconsistent. Vietnamese enterprise need to do 3 things first. That are stabilize the formula, stabilize quality per batch, stabilize packaging, information, and labeling. In Germany, a story only has value when it stands on a solid technical foundation. The third solution: don't try to go big, aim correctly. Most Vietnamese businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises. And Vietnamese SME enterprise and Vietnamese SME should not try to compete directly with Chinese corporation on price or Thai companies on large scale. Instead, Vietnamese enterprise should choose the small and medium-sized segment. Focus on the Asian channel, restaurant, and specialty store and small store. Then Vietnamese business will win not by strength but by flexibility and product understanding. The fourth solution: learn to work with system. In Vietnam, many successful deals are tied to relationship. In Germany, relationship only help you open doors. The system will determine whether you can stay or not. Vietnamese enterprise need to learn how to work with process, paperwork, inspection, logistics, and operating standard. Business unfamiliar, company unfamiliar with the system will find the German market very difficult. But those who understand the system will find the Germany very fair. The fifth solution:
Đầu tiên hai một bắt đầu.
The fifth solution: go slowly but go long. Go slowly but go far. Finally, but most importantly, Vietnamese enterprise need to change their mindset from quick profit to long journey, from order to close relationship. In Germany, a customer may test you for a long time, but once they trust you, they will stay with you for many years. A contract in Germany may be small, but a relationship in Germany can have a company survive for a very long time. So, what should foreign business enterprise, especially German enterprise, do? There are also four approaches. Firstly, be a product co-designer. Be a product co-designer. A common mistake that many European business make. A common mistake that many European enterprises make, that is finding a finished product, applying their standard, and demanding delivery according to existing market specification, and practice. A more effective approach when collaborating with Vietnamese enterprise is both parties cooperate to develop the formula, standardize the process, and optimize the product according to German consumer behavior. Vietnamese enterprises are very strong in flavor, but German partner can help Vietnamese enterprise shape taste preference, standardize quality, and translate that into business result. Secondly, invest in standard and system, not just price. If we only compare price, Vietnam will always be under pressure from China. Vietnam will always be under pressure from China. But if German company invest in quality control system, traceability, certificate, EU HALA version certification, and stable shipment, then they will create new barrier to enter. To entry. Build long-term competitive advantage and reduce supply chain risks. This is a one-time investment that will be used for many years. With various benefits from German enterprise. Thirdly, viewing Vietnam as a platform for all of Europe cooperation. For all Europe, cooperation with Vietnam should not be limited to selling in Germany, or serving a small segment. If built correctly, the Vietnam-Germany supply chain can expand to France, to Netherlands, Poland, and Northern Europe. Leverage Germany's central logistics and replicate the proven product model. At this point, Germany is not just a market, but a gateway to all of Europe. Fourthly, invest in long-term relationship, not quick profit. The food industry is about trust, stability, and time. The German enterprises that have succeeded in Vietnam are not those that are good at price manipulation, but rather those that patiently build partnership, share risks, and accompany each other through many market cycles. In Vietnam, a properly built relationship can last from more than 10 years and create an advantage that competitor find very difficult to replicate. If you watch this video from the beginning, you will probably realize something very clearly. So the follower strategy is not a strategy of weakness. It's a strategy of those who understand where they stand, understand what the market needs, and understand which path to survive, and understand which is the path for survival. Vietnam is a dry rice noodle industry. Is indeed a follower. But being late doesn't mean there's no chance. On the contrary, we can see more clearly what not to do, what should do, what to avoid, what we should do, what to avoid, what truly creates long-term value. Germany is not a market for haste, nor is a place to try your luck. In Germany, trust is built over time. But those who come first don't automatically win, and those who come later don't automatically lose. There's only one question: are you doing it right? With Vietnamese dry rice noodle product in the German market, we don't need to replace anyone. We don't need to knock anyone off the shelf. We just need to understand consumer behavior, take sure step, take stable step, survive before thinking about growth, and build relationship instead of chasing order. When we do that, Germany is more than just a market. It will become a standardization hub, a validation center, and a gateway to further and bigger Europe. The follower strategy ultimately is not a strategy for quick wins, but for staying. But a strategy for staying. And in a world where so many enterprises come and goes, being able to stay is already a huge competitive advantage. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. If you are a Vietnamese enterprise, looking to enter the international market, or a foreign partner or a foreign enterprise seeking a flexible and reliable manufacturing ecosystem in Asia, then perhaps we are speaking the same language. And if you have any further question, please don't hesitate to contact us through TTM Vietnam's channel. Thank you so much.
Nên tiếp tục một câu chào khác.
See you in our next video. With thôi kệ không cần.